Welcome to the Maya class. We're going to go over how to model in Maya, and the first thing you need to do before we get started is to download the software. So you can go to Autodesk Free Maya Download and download the student version. The student version is good for, I believe, 3 years. We will use the sign-in to sign into the account, and just use your usual sign-in. You can try your DCC account or your personal account. I believe either one works. Once you're signed in, you can choose a version. Say version 2017 is what we will be using, 64-bit, and English, and then download. And you see this is kind of large, 3.3 gigabytes, and then install. Okay. And if you want to find out more information about this, just go to your assignments on Canvas. You'll see in your Canvas there's a course tab. You can choose your animation with Maya, choose that class, and you'll see that there is an assignment in here. This is our first assignment, and our first assignment is just what I told you. You have to download and install Maya, and just make sure that it works. The way you do that is go to Laboratory Assignment 1, Week 1, and you'll see down here there is a link to this web page right here, Learning and Installing Maya 2017. So I basically tell you to go to this website, Autodesk Education Free Software Maya, and put in your information and then begin the download. Once the download is started, you can choose some options, but basically it should just go straight through. Just let the download probably go overnight, because it probably will take a very long time. And then when it boots up, use the default preferences and do not save to the desktop. Okay. For this class, you're going to have to set up your OneDrive. So make sure that your OneDrive is set up. It's pretty easy to do. I'll try it on this machine right here. Basically choose any folder here, and let me show you. Since that folder icon's missing, you choose your OneDrive and then set up your Delgado OneDrive in fall 2017. Make a folder called Fall 2017 and make a folder called Maya, and we will put our Week 1 work in Week 1. All these other folders will be generated in Maya. So once you have it downloaded and installed, the features should be highlighted. Close that. And once that folder is set up, I want you to set your project and choose the OneDrive folder by going to, it will default to Documents. We don't want to do that. We want to go back out to your name, whatever your username is for the computer. Choose OneDrive, choose that Delgado folder I told you to make, and your OneDrive, choose that Fall 2017 folder I told you to make, and then our Maya 2017, and in Week 1, we're going to choose that Week 1 and just set that folder. That does not make all those folders. You actually have to go to File, Set Project Window. Now that that's all set up, make Week 1 a folder, and then it will add all these folders for you, and then just say Accept. Going back to the tutorial here, I tell you to do just that. If you read through, you need to set up that file structure. I explained that Maya is more than just a JPEG. It is a whole network of files, so it's like running a server. It's basically running a server. You have different scripts and different files that you have to access at all times. So make sure that you set the project. You can choose that little down arrow in the corner of the screen. You can choose your username, then choose OneDrive, and then set that Maya folder 2017. Create a default workspace when it boots up, and make sure that you make a new folder. The default workspace thing is just kind of happenstance. Once you set the folder, it will ask you when you boot up Maya, what kind of workspace you want. The workspace itself is where all the buttons and shelves are set up, and you can change that wherever you go in the world. You can take your little default workspace file with you and augment the interface to your liking. Because Maya is open for scripting, you use the Maya embedded language or the MEL language to design your own interface. But we won't get to that in this first class. So make sure that your Maya folder is set up. And here's a breakdown of the menu. I've highlighted each part of the menu bar, the status bar, the shelves. And we can go through that now really quickly. So basically, the Maya interface is not fitting in this window. Also, make sure you have a 3-button mouse when you're using Maya. You cannot use your laptop scratch pad to do the work in this class. You need a 3-button mouse. You'll need the wheel on your mouse as a third button. Your left and right buttons I'm sure you're used to using, but the wheel we consider a third button. So up here you'll see all the polygons. These are basic shapes for creating basic shapes and basic objects. Here's a sphere, here's a plane, and these tools over here are used to move and scale the objects. You can make them smaller, you can make them larger, you can move them around. And then there's down here, there's these default spaces that allow you to view the top, front, and side view. This perspective view is mainly just for rendering. This is for output. This is the stuff you see in the movies. This is the stuff you see in video games. But what you don't see is the design aspect, and this is more or less the layout of the software. So let's make another shape so you can see. Here I am making a cone. I'm going to scale up that cone, and I'm going to move the cone over here in this view. And then I will scale it up and make it a little bigger. And the way the scale tool works, either you can pull in individual directions, or you can scale something all at once, all the X, Y, and Z directions. In 3D, there's multiple directions that you can work in. There's the X, the Y, and the Z. Just like in your mathematics class, the X and the Y, the third element, the Z, it may be something new for you who have taken mathematics. The Z is sort of out of the screen and into the universe, which makes it difficult to use Maya because you're still using a two-dimensional screen to project 3D objects. And that's why we have these, what I call your mirrors in your driving. You have to use your rear view mirror and your side view mirror to see what's really going on in the 3D world. I guess just because something appears to be, say, on the very edge of this surface, it may look to be on the very edge, say if this cone is sitting on the very edge of this plane. But if you look in this view, the plane is actually down here, and the cone is up off the surface on top. It's an optical illusion that it's actually in this place right now. So what you need to do is use the front, left, and side views for the creation of your objects in your scene. Now back to the main tutorial, you'll see the menu bar, the status bar, the shelves, the viewport control panel. I've labeled all these out here. You can read about them later on. You want to become aware of using these top, front, and side views like I just told you about. There's also the hypershade, the hypergraph, and those show you the list of the objects in the scene. So if you go to Windows, you go to, say, General Editors, you'll see a bunch of different editors that you can use. Modeling editors, here's your modeling editors, animating editors. And know that in this top corner, actually all of this stuff doesn't fit on the screen. So they had to break it out into rigging. You notice all these titles change. Animation, you'll notice all these titles change. So there is, unlike other software where you just have one bar of information up here, they actually had to layer them all together because there's just way too much stuff. For this class, we'll mainly stick with modeling. So just stick with these mesh tools, edit mesh tools. If you want to look at, say, what is in your scene, you can open up the outliner, and you'll see that we've created a sphere, and that will highlight when I select it, a plane, and a cone. Okay, and there's interpersonal relationships between these objects. They exist on the same plane, but if one of these objects, say, existed underneath another, or one was dependent upon another, like if I was to move this plane and all of these objects were supposed to sit on that plane, I would link these objects to that plane. So when I move that plane, say this plane represented, I don't know, a car, and these were passengers in that car. These passengers would be linked to that plane because if that car was driving down the highway, you wouldn't want these passengers to fall out. You want them to ride along inside the car. So there's a bunch of different ways to attach objects and create those characterizations. Back to our menu here. So like I said, go to this website, download the software, go to this assignment page to click on the actual assignment. I believe the assignment today is just to make a ball and a ground plane like I did, and move that ball up on the plane, make the plane a little larger using the scale tool, and then just show me that you can save that file. And that's all we're really doing today, because we've asked a lot for one day to download the software and install it. So let me just show you how that's done. I'll even go one step further. You can take these objects in this scene. For example, we know this ball is in this scene, but according to this perspective camera, you can't see the ball because it's obscured by this cone. So always use these front and side views because you cannot see everything in your perspective view, just like you can't see everything in your front view or just your side view. You need all of these views simultaneously. Now, to render out a scene, you can open up the render view, and this is the output that shows whatever it is in the scene. Not much to see there. So let's change our controls. I'm going to change my renderer to a software renderer. Close that. And then just do a quick render of that scene. And you see, just like on the screen, it looks a little bit different. It's because the renderer that the GPU or the graphics card is using is different than a CPU render. But now that this render is complete, I could File, Save Image, and look, it saves it right into our Delgado Community College Fall 2017, Maya 2017. And you can save this as a JPEG and save that, I don't know, picked first picture. And it looks like we're out of time here on the recording. That should get you up and running. Other things to know about this class, there's the assignments. There's a quiz on the syllabus. You can read the syllabus here. It's just a quiz to make sure that you actually read the syllabus. You can read the syllabus here under this tab. And it basically tells you that most of this class is all about downloading the software, installing the software, and practicing this with the software. You just need to learn the basic functions of Maya. And I expect you to upload some images to the server about every week. And I'll be grading you just on those completions. Can you make a cone? Can you make a plane? Can you render it out? and you upload it. We'll also be doing animations, and you'll be saving